Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, I'll admit, when AI really started hitting the mainstream, I was a bit skeptical.
Weren't we all, to some extent? Lots of buzz.
Exactly. Lots of hype. And I was kind of waiting for that, that truly mind-blowing feature, something that fundamentally changed how I actually tackled complex problems day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found it. It's this capability we're calling deep research.
Yeah.
And honestly, it blew my mind.
Okay.
This isn't just about drafting an email faster. This is about compressing tasks that used to take me 10, maybe 12, sometimes even 15 hours.
Wow.
A really painstaking cross-referencing, digging through sources kind of work. And it compresses that into mere minutes.
That's a huge difference.
It really is. Think of it like a revolutionary shortcut to becoming genuinely well-informed on almost any topic, but without that massive time sink. So this deep dive, it's all about unlocking that incredibly powerful new capability for you.
Yeah, and it is a profound shift. Historically, AI has been great at very specific, often quite technical tasks, like coding assistance or data analysis.
Right, engineering stuff mostly.
Exactly. But deep research, and it's really a category of advanced AI capabilities you find across tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, it truly marks a new frontier.
How so?
Well, it's arguably the first AI feature that can reliably solve complex non-engineering tasks end-to-end. It's not just finding information.
Okay.
It's developing a plan for the research, gathering vast amounts of relevant context from all over, and then producing a high-quality, often actionable deliverable. A full report, a strategy outline, you name it.
So it's more than just a fancy search engine.
Oh, much more. It's closer to a strategic partner in some ways. And this capability signifies a massive leap in AI's utility. It's moving beyond those purely technical applications and into strategic planning, market analysis, competitor research, really any field that demands comprehensive information synthesis and understanding.
That makes sense. But that name, deep research, it can be a bit misleading, can't it?
How do you mean?
Well, it sounds niche, like, okay, that's for academics writing papers, or maybe investors doing due diligence.
Right, like it's not for everyday business use, I say.
Yeah, and I think that perception totally misses its true power, because its game-changing ability, really, is reviewing these huge amounts of information from websites, reports, forums, everywhere, and distilling practical, actionable insights.
Mm-hmm. The synthesis part.
Exactly, and that need, that applies to almost any project. Especially go-to-market, GTM strategies.
Oh, absolutely. GTM is a prime example.
Planning a product launch, analyzing what competitors are up to, figuring out your next big marketing move.
Yeah.
You need to be well-informed. You need to be fast.
Information velocity is key there.
Right. So our mission with this deep dive is really to demystify deep research, challenge those initial misconceptions, and hopefully inspire some really creative uses for your own workflows.
I think that's crucial because that core need to review lots of information and distill practical insights. It's absolutely universal. It goes way beyond GTM.
Like what?
Well, think about healthcare professionals trying to stay updated on the latest treatments or research findings, or legal teams researching case precedents, even say policy analysts trying to understand the impact of new legislation. Everyone faces this information overload.
True, it's everywhere.
And deep research offers a potential pathway to manage that flood. However, and this is really important, it's crucial you understand it's not a magic bullet. It doesn't just work perfectly out of the box every time.
Okay, what's the catch?
Achieving those top-tier, truly useful results requires, well, a bit of hand-holding the AI. You have to guide it.
Right.
Unlike maybe simpler AI applications like summarizing text, here, the quality of your prompt writing, and even more critically, providing precise context, it's absolutely paramount.
Why is context so much more important here?
Because without that specific guidance from you, the AI will either make broad assumptions based on its training data, or it'll just keep the outputs really generic to be safe. And as any experienced professional knows, generic advice usually isn't very useful.
Yeah, unactionable insights are just noise.
Exactly. So it's really about building a kind of partnership. Your human expertise in framing the problem, defining the scope, providing the necessary nuance. That's just as important as the AI's massive processing power and ability to scan the web.
Okay, so partnership, guidance.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So how do we get you, the listener, to that level of mastery? How do we make this really actionable?
That's the plan.
We're going to break it down. First, we'll dive into the foundational principles for getting the absolute best outputs, the non-negotiables.
Laying the groundwork.
Then we'll actually build out an effective prompt structure, like a template you can adapt for your own needs.
Very practical.
We'll also compare the different deep research tools out there. You mentioned ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, but there's also Perplexity, Grok. We'll discuss which one might be best for specific tasks, because they aren't all the same.
Right, choosing the right tool for the job matters.
And finally, the really fun part, we'll walk you through 5 practical GTM use cases, real-world scenarios, complete with the actual prompt examples you can literally copy, paste, and adapt.
Getting hands-on.
Yeah, so get ready for some serious potential boosts in productivity and insight. Let's dive in. Okay, first things first. Let's start with what's arguably the absolute bedrock for getting excellent deep research results, focusing on high-quality sources.
Couldn't agree more. This is fundamental.
Because this is maybe the most critical limitation if you just let the AI run wild, right? These deep research agents, sometimes they can show surprisingly bad judgment about where they get their information.
Yeah, bad judgment is a good way to put it. What does that look like in practice?
Well, I've seen examples where it might treat opinions on social media or a random blog post as established facts.
Oof, dangerous.
Or it might find one source, maybe a slightly biased one, and just over-index on it, basing the whole report on that single perspective.
Ignoring conflicting data or nuance.
Exactly. Or a really common one, just pulling outdated data. Market stats from 5 years ago presented as current.
Which can lead to terrible decisions.
Totally. Imagine waiting, 15 minutes, maybe longer for some tools, spending your research credits. You get back this beautifully formatted, impressive-looking report.
Looks great on the surface.
Only to dig in and realize its core claims are built on quicksand, based on dodgy sources or old info. It's incredibly frustrating and a total waste of time.
It absolutely is. And the implications go beyond frustration. Relying on reports built on low-quality or biased sources directly impacts the credibility and ultimately the actionability of whatever you do based on that report.
So how does this happen? Why does the AI show this bad judgment?
Well, it kind of mirrors some human tendencies, actually. AI models are trained on vast amounts of internet data, and they often prioritize information that's readily available or frequently cited, which isn't always the most reliable.
So like grabbing the first result on Google without checking it properly?
Exactly. It doesn't inherently possess human-like discernment or critical thinking skills about source authority unless we explicitly guide it. It needs to be taught to distinguish between, say, a peer-reviewed study and a random forum comment.
Okay, so we need to guide it. We need to teach it discernment. How do we actually do that in the prompt? What's option 1?
Option 1 is the most direct approach. You explicitly specify source prioritization in your prompt.
Give me an example.
You could literally write something like, prioritize information from primary sources like government statistical bureaus, academic studies, or official company documentation over secondary sources like news articles, blog posts, or marketing materials.
Okay, tell them the hierarchy. Primary over secondary.
Precisely. And it's worth taking a second to clarify that distinction because it's so important. Primary sources are the original source of information, the raw data, the direct account. Think government reports, scientific papers presenting original research, official company filings.
Got it. The source itself.
Whereas secondary sources interpret, analyze, or summarize primary sources. News articles reporting on a study, blog posts discussing industry trends, even textbooks. They can be useful for context, but for hard facts, you want to get as close to the primary source as possible.
Right, like getting the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics itself, not just a news article about the jobs report.
Exactly that. Government data, scientific studies, these generally have rigorous methodologies and are intended to be objective, making them inherently more credible for factual claims. News articles or blogs might have editorial angles, biases, or simply misinterpret the original data.
So telling the AI this hierarchy helps it make better choices.
Yes. When guided, the AI can leverage this understanding. It's like telling a research assistant, focus on these specific journals and government databases first, and only use news reports for background color.
Okay, that makes sense. Explicit instructions. What's option 2? You mentioned a pro tip.
Right, option 2 is a bit more advanced, but can be very effective, especially for complex topics. It involves using a different, more advanced AI model first, something really strong at reasoning, like maybe GPT-5 or Claude Opus.
Okay, so a 2-step process.
Exactly. You use that advanced reasoning model first specifically to create a curated list of potentially high-quality, relevant sources for your topic. You ask it to vet sources based on credibility, recency, methodology, etc.
So you're pre-screening the library before the deep research agent even starts reading.
Precisely. You generate this vetted list, and then you feed that specific list into your deep research prompt, telling the agent to primarily or even exclusively rely on those pre-approved sources.
That sounds powerful. Why is an advanced reasoning model better at that initial source identification?
These models generally have more sophisticated capabilities for understanding nuance, evaluating credibility claims, comparing methodologies across different sources, and synthesizing information about sources. They're better equipped for that meta task of assessing information quality before diving into the content itself.
So it prevents the deep research agent from just wandering off down unreliable rabbit holes.
Exactly. It keeps it focused on the good stuff from the start. This pre-selection step can prevent the agent from finding and latching onto unreliable claims or outdated information, ultimately saving you significant time, research credits, and improving the final report's quality dramatically.
Okay, 2 solid options there. Now, beyond just specifying which sources, you mentioned baking transparency features into the prompt itself. Tell me more about that.
Yes, this is about making the AI show its work, essentially. It builds trust and makes verification much easier.
Like asking for citations.
Absolutely. First, insist on in-text citations for any significant claim the AI makes, just like in academic writing. This lets you quickly check the source if a claim seems surprising or questionable.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, request a dedicated table at the end of the report that lists all sources used. And not just the URLs specified that it should include the source type. Example, academic study, news article, blog post, the publication year, and maybe even a brief note on how it was used in the report.
Wow, a full bibliography. Why is that so helpful?
It does a couple things. Obviously, it saves you lots of headaches down the road if you need to revisit the research or share it with colleagues, but it also builds a reusable knowledge base. You can see at a glance the foundation of the report.
Okay, citations, source table. What was the third one? Something about disagreements.
Yes, and this one is particularly insightful, especially when dealing with quantitative data or complex topics where experts might disagree. Instruct the AI to specifically outline where different credible sources disagree on key points.
So not just presenting one answer, but highlighting the conflict.
Exactly. And crucially, ask it to explain why there might be a disagreement. For instance, if 2 reports offer different market size figures, the AI should try to identify if it's due to different time periods studied, different definitions of the market, or very commonly, different research methodologies.
That's fascinating. So it encourages a more nuanced understanding.
Precisely. It moves beyond a simplistic, single narrative output and fosters genuine critical thinking. You're not just blindly accepting the AI's synthesized answer, you're getting visibility into the complexities and controversies within the data or the field itself. Understanding why data conflicts arise due to methodology is incredibly valuable for making informed judgments.
Okay, sources handled. Let's move to the second foundational principle you mentioned, providing context for customized insights. You said a generic overview, even a good one, isn't actually that useful.
It really isn't most of the time. It might be neat to get a broad summary of a topic, but the real practical value emerges when the insights are specifically tailored to your particular situation, your company, your goals.
And you said most deep research tools don't proactively ask for this context.
Not consistently, no. Some are better than others. ChatGPT tends to ask more clarifying questions up front, but generally the onus is on you to feed the AI that crucial context. If you don't, it has 2 choices. Make broad assumptions, which might be wrong.
Or just keep things super generic to avoid being wrong.
Exactly. And either way, you end up with a report that isn't directly applicable to your needs. It leads to wasted effort and irrelevant outputs.
Especially for that learner persona you mentioned earlier, right? Someone who needs actionable knowledge quickly.
Absolutely. For them, context is the essential bridge between raw information and practical application. Without context, it's just data. With context, it becomes insight.
So what kind of context do we need to provide? What's the first crucial piece?
The first big bucket is where you work and how your company operates. This seems obvious, but it's vital.
What details does that include?
Think about, what industry are you in? What does your company actually do or sell? What's your company size? Are you a huge multinational or a small startup? What's your online presence like? And critically, what's your go-to-market motion? Are you heavily inbound marketing focused, outbound sales driven, product-led growth?
How do those details actually change the AI's output?
Massively. Let's take an example. Imagine you're asking for recommendations on marketing automation tools. The advice for a large established B2B enterprise with a huge existing customer base and a complex multi-channel GTM motion will be vastly different from the advice for a small, early-stage B2C startup that's primarily focused on social media and has a tiny budget.
Right, the tool complexity, features, pricing, integrations needed would be totally different.
Totally different. Or consider GTM motion. If you tell the AI you rely heavily on inbound marketing and SEO, it should tailor its recommendations towards strategies and tools that support that, rather than suggesting aggressive outbound sales tactics that don't fit your model. Context shapes the relevance of every recommendation.
Okay, so company context is number one. What else?
Second, you need to share what exactly you're trying to achieve with this research. Go beyond just stating the task itself.
Give me an example of task versus motivation.
Okay, instead of just saying, pull together a report comparing marketing attribution tools A, B, and C, you should state the underlying motivation. We're trying to get better visibility into our campaign performance, specifically to improve our quarterly marketing planning and budget allocation process. We need a tool that helps us understand ROI across different channels to justify spend.
So connecting the research task to the bigger business goal.
Exactly. Sharing that ultimate goal and motivation transforms the AI's role. It's no longer just a data aggregator pulling feature lists. It becomes more of a strategic partner.
How does that change the output?
Because now it can evaluate those tools not just on features, but on how well they actually help you achieve your specific objective, in this case, better budget allocation and ROI tracking. It can highlight features relevant to that goal, or even suggest alternative approaches you hadn't considered. Sharing the bigger picture, and maybe even mentioning prior related work you've done, allows the AI to provide much more impactful results that fit into your larger project strategy.
Makes sense. Connect the dots for the AI. What's the third type of context?
Third, and often overlooked, is providing what constraints you're facing.
Constraints like?
Budget is a huge one. Headcount or available internal expertise. Hard deadlines, maybe specific technical limitations, even things like needing approval from leadership or legal before implementing something.
How do these constraints help the AI?
They provide essential guardrails. They force the AI to generate more targeted, realistic, and ultimately actionable recommendations.
Can you give a scenario?
Sure. If you ask for website personalization strategies, but don't mention you have zero budget for new tools, the AI might recommend expensive enterprise platforms. That's useless to you.
Right.
Or if you need a solution implemented by the end of the quarter but don't mention the deadline, the AI might suggest a complex multi-month project. Again, not actionable. Specifying constraints ensures the advice fits your reality.
Okay. Company goal constraints. That covers a lot. You mentioned a pro tip here too.
Yeah, a couple actually. First, if you find yourself doing similar types of deep research repeatedly, maybe monthly competitor analysis or quarterly market scans, consider using a tool feature like projects if available. You can upload your core company context, tech stack, goals, etc. once into the project.
So remembers the basics for next time.
Exactly. Every new report you generate within that project automatically inherits that shared knowledge base. It saves you retyping the same context over and over and ensures consistency. Big time saver for recurring tasks.
Nice. And the other tip? Something about asking the AI.
Right. This one's a bit meta, but surprisingly effective. If you're unsure what context would be most helpful for a specific complex request, you can actually ask an advanced reasoning AI itself for suggestions.
Ask the AI what context it needs.
Yeah. Use GPT-5 or Claude Opus and prompt it something like this. I'm planning to generate a deep research report on topic X in order to achieve goal Y. What specific context should I provide to the deep research agent so that I get a highly customized and actionable report? Please pretend you have no context about me or my company from any prior conversations.
That's good. Why does that work so well?
Because these advanced models have a deep understanding of information needs and dependencies. By telling it your topic and goal and asking it to brainstorm necessary context from a blank slate, it can often surface dimensions you might not have thought to include specific industry nuances, relevant metrics, potential constraints related to that topic. It leverages the AI's own knowledge about knowledge gathering.
Using AI to help you prompt AI better. Love it. Any final safeguard on context?
Just one simple one. When you kick off the deep research task, explicitly ask the agent directly if it needs any additional context from you before it proceeds with generating the plan or the report. Just a quick check-in.
Do you have everything you need?
Basically, yeah. It gives it one last chance to flag any ambiguities or missing pieces based on your initial prompt.
Okay, sources, context. What's the third critical strategy for top-tier results?
This one is about the process. Always, always ask for a research plan up front.
A plan before it does the research.
Exactly. Now, some tools, like Gemini Deep Research, actually do this by default. They always share a proposed plan for your approval before diving in, which is great.
But others don't.
Many others don't, or not as reliably. So for tools like ChatGPT or Claude, when used for deep research, you often need to explicitly ask for the plan in your initial prompt. Something like, before generating the full report, please provide a detailed research plan, including the key areas you'll cover, the types of sources you intend to use, and your proposed methodology.
Why is seeing that plan so important? What's the benefit?
The huge benefit is course correction before the AI commits significant time and resources and your research credits. It saves you from that frustrating scenario we talked about. Waiting 15, 20 minutes, maybe longer.
Only to get the report back and realize it totally missed the mark.
Exactly. Maybe it focused on the wrong aspects of the topic, or it used a methodology you disagree with, or it missed a crucial area you needed covered. If you see the plan up front, you can provide feedback and make adjustments in advance.
Saving potentially wasted time and credits.
Precisely. That simple upfront request for a plan becomes a really crucial workflow optimization. It enables proactive alignment and course correction, ensuring the final output is much more likely to meet your needs. It's a small step that prevents big frustrations.
And you mentioned needing to repeat the request sometimes.
Yeah, that's a little quirk to watch out for. If the AI asks you follow-up questions to clarify your initial request, and you provide answers, sometimes it can sort of forget the original instruction to provide a plan first. So it's good practice to reiterate in your follow-up response, okay, thanks for clarifying. Please proceed with generating the research plan now. Just a gentle reminder.
Got it. So once you get that plan, what should you be looking for? What questions should you ask yourself when reviewing it?
Good question. There are 3 main things to check. First, does the plan seem to cover everything you're actually interested in?
Like, did it miss any key subtopics or deliverables?
Exactly. Maybe you didn't just want a comparison, but you also specifically needed example templates or even code snippets related to the topic. If that's not mentioned in the plan's proposed outputs, now is the time to ask for it to be added.
Okay, check coverage. What's second?
Second, do you agree with the proposed methodology and focus areas? How is it planning to tackle the problem?
What do you mean by methodology here?
Well, for example, if you ask for a comparison of software tools, how does the AI plan to evaluate them? Is it focusing primarily on features, pricing, user reviews, ease of integration? Does its planned evaluation criteria align with your priorities?
So ensuring its approach matches your definition of good.
Precisely. Or if it's researching a market trend, is it planning to focus on quantitative data, qualitative expert opinions, or a mix? Ensuring the methodology aligns with your goals before the research starts is key.
Makes sense. Coverage methodology was the third check.
The third thing is to look for signs that the AI might be making assumptions or keeping things too generic, which usually indicates it needs more context from you.
How would you spot that in a plan?
It might propose sections that seem overly broad or use vague language. For instance, if you asked about B2B strategies and the plan just says analyze marketing channels without specifying B2B channels, that's a red flag. It might be defaulting to general consumer marketing knowledge.
So if it seems vague, it probably needs more specific direction.
Exactly. Seeing a generic plan is your cue to jump back in and provide that extra layer of context we talked about earlier, your specific industry, target audience, constraints to help it refine the plan into something much more targeted and useful. This active engagement with the plan is where you really start guiding the AI effectively.
Okay, that covers the plan. What's the fourth foundational principle? You mentioned making reports digestible.
Yes, clarity and readability. This might sound basic, but it's a common frustration. You go through all the effort of crafting a great prompt, providing context, reviewing the plan, and then the AI spits out this massive, dense block of unstructured text.
They're like a huge wall of words, hard to read, hard to find the key points.
Exactly. It makes it incredibly difficult to quickly skim and extract the most important insights. You end up having to spend more time just trying to parse the AI's output.
Which kind of defeats the purpose of saving time.
It really does. Think about the cognitive burden of wading through poorly structured information. Especially for that learner persona, we keep mentioning someone who needs to gain knowledge quickly and efficiently. Clarity and ease of digestion are absolutely paramount.
Because those practical insights we want are useless if they're buried deep inside dense paragraphs.
Precisely. If you can't easily find and understand the key takeaways, The research hasn't really served its purpose. The good news is, this is usually quite easy to fix through simple instructions in your prompt.
Okay, what kind of instructions work well?
Several simple things. First, ask for a summary, an executive summary, or key takeaways right at the beginning of the entire document. Second, ask for a similar summary at the start of every individual section of the report. This makes it super scannable. You can quickly grasp the main point of each part.
Like section headlines, followed by bullet points of the key findings for that section.
Exactly like that. Third, explicitly tell the AI to follow the pyramid principle.
The pyramid principle, what's that?
It's a communication structure where you state the main conclusion or recommendation first, and then provide the supporting arguments, details, and data. So key insights come right up front in each section, before the deep dive.
Get to the point immediately.
Yes. It's incredibly effective, especially for busy decision makers who need the bottom line quickly. They can grasp the core message and then choose to dig into the supporting details if needed.
Okay, summaries up front, pyramid principle. What else?
Use formatting instructions. Ask the AI to use bullet points, numbered lists, bold text for key terms, and especially overview tables or even simple visuals where appropriate, instead of just relying on long text blocks.
So instead of describing 5 competing products in 5 long paragraphs, ask for a comparison table.
Exactly. A table comparing features, pricing, pros, and cons side by side is vastly more efficient and easier to digest than paragraphs of text. Visuals or structured formats can convey complex information far more effectively and memorably. It significantly aids comprehension, retention, and ultimately your ability to apply the knowledge. The goal isn't just information generation, it's making that information usable.
Okay, this is great. We've covered sources, context, planning, and formatting the core principles now. Let's unpack this further. How do we combine all these tips into a practical, reusable prompt structure?
Perfect. Let's build that template. This structure provides a robust framework you can adapt for pretty much any deep research task. And just a reminder for listeners, the parts we'll mark with a hashtag are just explanations for our discussion. You wouldn't include those comments in your actual prompt to the AI.
Got it. Let's see the blueprint.
Okay, first section, hashtag goal. This is where you clearly define what you're ultimately trying to accomplish with this research and what exactly you want the AI to do. It sets the overall objective.
Can you give that account scoring example again?
Sure. A good goal statement might be, goal. We want to build an account score model to help inform account allocation to our SDRs and prioritize which accounts they should reach out to first. The desired model needs to assign 2 scores to each account. 1, a firmographic fit score, basically, is this type of company generally a good fit for us? And 2, an intent score, meaning, is this specific account showing signs they might be in the market or likely to buy soon? Goal.
Okay, that's super specific. It outlines the business purpose, allocation, prioritization, and the exact components needed. Firmographic score, intent score.
Precisely. That level of detail guides the AI towards a very specific, actionable outcome rather than just a general report about account scoring. Next section, hashtag context.
This is where we put all that crucial background info we talked about.
Exactly. All relevant context for this specific request that isn't already stored in your project if you're using one. This includes company details, goals, constraints.
Let's use the example for that account scoring goal.
Okay, context. We are primarily focused on the US market currently. Our go-to-market tech stack and data infrastructure consists of Salesforce as our CRM, Marketo for marketing automation, Outreach for sales engagement, and we use dbt and Snowflake for our data warehousing and transformation. We are open to potentially buying third-party intent data sources if recommended. A key requirement is that the final model and the scores it generates must be explainable to the sales team. Context.
Now let's break that down. US market focus scopes the geography. Tech stack tells the AI what systems any solution needs to integrate with. Open to buying intent data clarifies a constraint or option. Explainability is key, highlights a critical requirement for the output. Each piece is vital.
Absolutely vital for getting customized, relevant, and technically feasible results. Without knowing the tech stack, it might recommend solutions that are incompatible. Without knowing explainability is key, it might suggest a black box model the sales team won't trust or use. Context is king.
Okay, goal, context. What's next? Are there optional sections?
Yes. The next few are often optional but very useful. Hashtag optional content. This is where you specify exactly what elements or sections you want included in the final output. Beyond the main goal, are there specific comparisons, analyses, or even things like code snippets you need?
So defining the table of contents, basically.
Kind of, yeah. For the account scoring example, Content, please ensure the report covers, at a minimum, 1. A detailed build versus buy analysis comparing developing the scoring model in-house versus purchasing a vendor solution, including a final recommendation. An overview of the various technical approaches we could take for building this in-house. 3. Practical guidance on how to operationalize the account score effectively between the marketing and sales teams. 4. Suggestions on how we can provide visibility for individual sales reps into how their account scores were derived, linking back to the explainability requirement.
Okay, so this ensures the AI doesn't just talk about account scoring, but delivers these specific comprehensive analyses and guides that meet the user's full needs. Build versus buy, technical options, operationalization, sales visibility, very concrete deliverables.
Exactly. Next optional section, #optional style. This defines the desired format and structure of the report. We talked about digestibility earlier.
Right. Summaries, pyramid principle, formatting.
Precisely. This is often best included in project-level custom instructions if your tool supports it, so it applies automatically. But you can put it here too. Example style. Please follow the pyramid principle in your writing. State key takeaways or recommendations first in each section, then provide supporting arguments, details, and data where appropriate. When you give a recommendation, make sure you clearly explain how you arrived at it. Use bullet points, overview tables, and other formatting elements liberally to make the report easy to parse and skim quickly.
Style.
Just reiterating those best practices for readability, comprehension, and making it useful for decision making.
Good.
Then we have #optional sources. This loops back to our first principle. Here you can specify which types of sources the AI should prioritize or avoid, and how it should document them.
Can you give that tool comparison example again?
Sure. Sources. When comparing specific software tools, please focus primarily on assessments, reviews, or comparisons from leading independent industry blogs or experienced practitioners. Avoid relying solely on marketing claims made by the companies themselves on their own websites. Sources.
So this directly addresses that bad judgment issue we discussed. It guides the AI towards more objective third-party information for specific tasks, like tool comparisons, rather than just regurgitating marketing copy.
Exactly. It provides targeted guidance on source credibility for the task at hand. And the last optional section, #optional instructions.
It sounds like a catch-all.
Pretty much. It's for any other miscellaneous instructions, specific methodologies you want it to follow, or reminders. Our safeguard instruction fits well here. Instructions. Before you begin generating the research plan or the report, please ask me if you need any additional context or clarification based on this prompt. Instructions.
Right, that final check-in to make sure it has everything it needs, a crucial safeguard to prevent it from going off track due to incomplete information.
Exactly. So that's the template: goal, context, and then optionally content, style, sources, and instructions.
That's a fantastic, really practical breakdown, and I appreciate the reminder that most sections are optional. You should pick and choose the ones that are most relevant for each specific research task. No need to over-engineer a prompt for a relatively straightforward request.
Absolutely. Tailor the template complexity to the complexity of the task.
Okay, now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Navigating the actual tools. There are quite a few options now offering these deep research capabilities. What's the landscape look like?
It's definitely evolving fast, but we can provide a snapshot based on current performance. The quick TLDR up front. Right now, ChatGPT, especially with the latest models like GPT-5 potentially, and particularly when using its agent mode feature, is generally the best general purpose tool for complex deep research.
Okay, ChatGPT leads the pack. Why? What are its key strengths?
It boils down to two main things currently. First, as we touched on earlier, in contrast to most other tools, it almost always proactively asks for clarifying context upfront if your prompt is ambiguous.
Which saves you that step of explicitly asking it to ask or risking it making bad assumptions.
Exactly. While you can prompt other tools to ask for context, ChatGPT's default behavior here is a significant streamlining advantage, especially for that learner persona trying to get good results quickly. It helps ensure that critical information is gathered before the heavy lifting begins.
Okay, better context gathering. What's the second strength?
The second, and perhaps more significant strength, is that it generally provides by far the most in-depth and rigorously researched reports. And related to that, it consistently shows better judgment in synthesizing information and avoiding simplistic conclusions compared to many alternatives right now.
So regardless of how well you optimize prompts for other tools, ChatGPT often just delivers more depth and quality.
In many complex cases, yes, that's the current state. There seems to be a ceiling on the depth and analytical rigor achievable with some other tools right now, whereas ChatGPT can often go much deeper. So when is this unmatched depth crucial? It's when you need extremely detailed information, nuanced analysis, or comprehensive step-by-step guidance for complex problems. If you need a 10,000-word comprehensive playbook, ChatGPT is likely your best bet.
Okay, but like you said, you don't always need that 10,000-word deep dive. Sometimes a quicker summary or a different focus is better. So what about the alternatives? When might they be a better choice?
Great point. Let's break down the others. Gemini from Google is a very strong contender. It often does almost as well as ChatGPT in terms of quality for many tasks.
Okay, close second.
Often, yes. And a key advantage is that Gemini frequently has more generous usage limits compared to ChatGPT's paid tiers, especially for the advanced research features. So if you hit your ChatGPT limits or just need a high-quality alternative, Gemini is a good fallback option that often provides comparable quality.
Good to know. What about Perplexity?
Perplexity has carved out a niche. Its real strength lies in its ability to focus research very effectively on particular websites or specific social forums. It seems to have more granular source controls in practice and often adheres better to instructions about where to look online.
So if you need to analyze discussions only on Reddit or research only within a specific competitor's documentation site?
Exactly. For those scenarios where source precision is critical, like analyzing sentiment within a niche industry forum or extracting information only from specific academic archives, Perplexity often handles those constraints better than the more generalist tools.
Interesting. And you mentioned Claude, Perplexity again, and Grok for something else.
Yes. Claude, Perplexity, and also Grok from xAI, these tools often excel at creating sleek, easy-to-read reports that are typically shorter, maybe in the 1,000 to 2,000 word range.
So more concise summaries.
Exactly. They tend to produce well-formatted, digestible summaries by default. This makes them a great entry point if you're just starting to dive into a new topic and want a quick, high-level overview without being overwhelmed by a massive document. They give you the key themes and findings quickly.
Okay, so different tools for different needs. ChatGPT for depth, Gemini as a strong alternative, Perplexity for source control, and Claude Perplexity Grok for concise summaries.
That's a good way to think about the current landscape, yes. Choose the tool that best fits the specific task's requirements for depth, source focus, or conciseness.
This is incredibly helpful context for navigating the options. And I like the idea that as we move into these practical use cases now, we'll highlight which tool might be the best fit for each scenario, reinforcing that strategic selection process.
Exactly. Let's put it into practice.
All right, use case number one, generating a step-by-step guide for a large, complex, in-house project. Now, anyone who's worked in GTM, or probably any operational role, knows this feeling.
Oh, yeah.
The executive drive-by request. Your boss comes to you and says, we need to implement insert complex new thing here, like yesterday. And you and maybe your whole team have zero internal experience with it.
Happens all the time. Just another Tuesday working in GTM?
Totally. Think about implementing brand new AI use cases internally, or building lead scoring from scratch, or maybe tackling marketing attribution for the first time. You have this general goal, but absolutely no idea how to actually approach the implementation. Where do you even start?
It can be incredibly daunting, and this is precisely where deep research becomes an amazing resource. It's like having an instant consultant, because it can get you up to speed in less than 1 hour on a topic that might otherwise take days or weeks of scattered reading. It can help you develop that initial high-level plan. What are the key decisions we need to make? What are the major work streams involved? What are the common pitfalls?
So it doesn't make you an expert instantly, but it gives you the map.
Exactly. You don't become a certified expert overnight, but you gain enough structured knowledge to understand the scope, identify the core challenges, figure out where you might need deeper dives or even external help, and start moving forward confidently. It transforms that intimidating, amorphous challenge into a structured, manageable plan for rapid project initiation. It helps you overcome that initial knowledge gap very quickly.
Okay, let's take a concrete example. Say
Right.
The request is we need to build or maybe rebuild our marketing attribution system in-house. We have a general goal, understand campaign impact, but zero implementation knowledge. How would we prompt for that?
All right, here's how an effective prompt might look using our template structure. We'd want a tool capable of depth here, so ChatGPT would be a good choice. First, the goal. Generate an in-depth, tactical, step-by-step guide on how to build out marketing attribution in-house, specifically tailored for a startup environment. As a first step or initial phase, we want to focus on implementing a relatively simple attribution model that considers marketing touchpoints from our relevant programs, like email campaigns, LinkedIn ads, etc., and assigns a single primary source to each newly created sales opportunity.
Very specific. In-depth tactical guide, startup context, simple first model, single source assignment. Clear objective.
Exactly. Then, crucial context. We are a B2B SaaS startup selling meeting transcription software. We are mostly targeting SMBs as our primary customer segment and are currently at approximately $10 M's in annual recurring revenue, ARR, growing about 100% year over year. Our GTM motion is mostly marketing-led, with the majority of our leads currently coming via paid LinkedIn ads and programmatic cold email outreach. Our existing tech stack uses Salesforce as the CRM, Marketo for automation, and we have dbt and Snowflake for our data warehouse and modeling.
Wow, okay, that's rich context. B2B SaaS, SMB-focused growth stage marketing channels, and the specific tech stack, Salesforce, Marketo, dbt, Snowflake.
Yeah.
How does this help?
Enormously. The tech stack tells the AI which systems the attribution model needs to pull data from and potentially push data back into. Knowing its dbt Snowflake allows it to suggest SQL-based modeling approaches. Knowing the main channels, LinkedIn, email, helps it tailor advice on tracking and GTM parameters. The company stage and GTM motion help it recommend an appropriately scoped initial model, not some overly complex enterprise solution. It ensures a highly customized, relevant, and technically feasible playbook.
Got it. What about audience and structure?
Good additions for this kind of guide. Audience. Assume the reader has general working knowledge with relevant marketing and data tools and systems, like Salesforce, Marketo, SQL, but has zero prior specific experience with building marketing attribution models. This guides the tone and level of detail. And structure. Please provide an overview of the key strategic decisions that need to be made upfront. For example, choosing an attribution model type. Then outline the major work streams involved in implementation. For each significant body of work, provide an overview of different relevant approaches or options we could choose from, and then provide a detailed step-by-step guide for implementing your single recommended approach. This ensures it's comprehensive and provides actionable guidance.
And finally, style.
Just the standard style. Follow the pyramid principle. State key takeaways or recommendations first, then add supporting arguments and data. Use bullet points, overview tables, and clear formatting to make the report easy to parse. Keep it readable.
Okay, that's a really solid, detailed prompt. What kind of output could you expect from that?
You could genuinely receive an incredibly impressive end-to-end attribution guide. We're talking maybe 5,000, 10,000 words, covering everything from the different attribution methodologies, first touch, last touch, linear, etc., with pros and cons,
Wow.
to different technical implementation approaches. Yak example, building models directly in the CRM versus in the data warehouse using dbt, and importantly, detailed step-by-step instructions for the recommended path. This could include things like recommendations for standardizing UTM tagging conventions across all your marketing channels, and even mock SQL code examples for building the necessary attribution models in dbt.
Actual code snippet.
Yes, it can provide genuinely granular, practical detail that forms an implementable playbook, getting you maybe 80–90% of the way there in minutes instead of weeks of research.
That's amazing. It really connects back to that power user idea, democratizing expertise.
It absolutely does. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this use case perfectly demonstrates how AI, specifically deep research, can democratize complex operational expertise. It allows even smaller startups or teams without dedicated specialists to realistically tackle complex, large-scale projects that were previously out of reach or would have required expensive consultants.
Can you give a few other quick examples of similar complex projects where this approach would work?
Sure, drawing from the source material for inspiration. Think about building out a comprehensive content marketing motion from scratch, needing strategy, channel selection, process definition, or migrating from one major system to another, like a complex CRM migration from HubSpot to Marketo, needing a detailed plan, or structuring a less painful go-to-market planning process that actually minimizes friction between marketing and sales, or even something like coming up with the right compensation scheme for sales reps that aligns incentives properly. All complex, multifaceted projects where deep research can provide that crucial initial structure and guidance.
Okay, that's a powerful first use case. Let's switch gears for use case number 2. Researching competitors' ad strategies. This feels different, going really deep on one specific data source, right?
Exactly. This is less about building a broad internal plan and more about external competitive intelligence focused on a very specific area.
What's the listener's pain point here?
Maybe you're struggling with your own paid advertising campaigns, say on LinkedIn or Google, Your results are mediocre, costs are high, but you know your competitors seem to be crushing it on those same platforms. You desperately want to understand how they're doing it, what messaging are they using, what offers, who are they targeting, what's their secret sauce?
Yeah, I can feel that pain.
Yeah.
How can deep research help? Isn't that info private?
Well, here's the good news. Thanks to transparency initiatives, platforms like LinkedIn, Google, and Meta have public ad libraries that actually reveal all the ads currently being run by any advertiser.
All of them. Even like private message ads on LinkedIn.
Yep. Even sponsored in-mail or conversation ads often show up in these libraries. It's a treasure trove of competitive intelligence. Now, here's the even better news. Manually sifting through potentially hundreds or thousands of competitor ads in these libraries, clicking each one, analyzing the copy, the visuals, the targeting clues that could literally take days of tedious work. AI, specifically deep research, can do the heavy lifting of exploring these libraries and synthesizing the key insights in minutes.
Yeah, okay, that's the game changer. Saves days of manual clicking. Which tool is best for this?
This is where tool selection becomes interesting. The standard research modes of tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or Grok are actually ideal for this kind of exhaustive single website deep dive. They might only sample a few pages. Perplexity, with its better source control, might do an acceptable job, but it still might not be systematic enough.
But what is the real solution here?
The real solution, especially if you need comprehensive coverage, is likely to turn on agent mode in ChatGPT.
Agent mode again. Remind me what that is and why it's so powerful here.
Agent mode, or similar browsing capabilities in other advanced models, acts as the bridge between research and action, or, maybe more accurately, between passive reading and active interaction. While traditional research agents primarily read the content of web pages,
Right.
agent mode can often interact with them more like a human would. If needed and permitted, it can potentially log into accounts, though you need to be careful with permissions, click on filters within a website, navigate through multiple pages systematically, fill out forms, and even take screenshots of what it's seeing.
Whoa, taking screenshots, that's different.
It is, and for analyzing visual things like advertisements, that capability is revolutionary. It means the AI isn't just extracting text, it can capture the full ad creative, the landing page it links to, etc. For ad library analysis, agent mode allows the AI to methodically explore the library, applying filters, clicking through pages of results, and extracting data far more comprehensively than a standard research agent could.
Okay, so agent mode is key for this use case. How would the prompt look? Let's say we want to analyze how a specific company, say competitor X, uses LinkedIn ads.
All right, here's a possible prompt structure for ChatGPT agent mode. Goal. I'm trying to understand how competitor X uses LinkedIn ads to grow their business. Please leverage the official LinkedIn ads library, and you'd include the direct URL, https://www.linkedin.com/library, to put together a comprehensive report analyzing their positioning, messaging, targeting, and tactical approaches. Explicitly linking to the target source is key for agent mode.
Got it. Directing it to the library.
Then some context to guide its analysis. The detailed page for every individual ad within the library will likely contain a lot of relevant information to consider. For example, it often shows what type of ad format it is. Speed sample, single image, video, carousel, message ad, the date range when it was active, potentially how many impressions it received across different regions, etc. Please extract these details where available. This tells the agent what specific data points to look for on each ad page.
Helpful guidance. What about the desired content?
Be specific in content. Please make sure your report covers, at a minimum, the following aspects. What different ad formats does competitor X utilize most frequently? Which buyer personas or job titles do they appear to be targeting based on the ad content and messaging? How do they position their product or service against alternatives? What do their primary calls to action, CTAs, look like? What incentives or offers, for example, free trials, demos, ebooks, do they promote? Please make sure to include concrete examples and quote specific messaging where relevant. Please link to at least 20 specific ad examples you found in the library directly within your report. Emphasizing the need for specific, verifiable examples is crucial.
Right. No vague summaries demand the evidence. And any specific instructions.
Yes, set the scale with instructions. To ensure comprehensive analysis, please review at least 50 plus different ads from competitor X in the library. Aim to create a detailed report of 3,000 words or more, summarizing your findings and observations. This explicitly demands depth and thoroughness.
Review 50 plus ads, 3,000 plus words, setting clear expectations.
Yep.
And the output.
Using a prompt like this, the source material indicates you can get a pretty solid and comprehensive report. It wouldn't just summarize findings, it would likely include direct links to many of the specific ad examples it analyzed, and importantly, with agent mode, potentially include actual screenshots of key ads or trends.
Screenshots are huge for visual analysis of ads.
Absolutely. That visual context is invaluable. And agent mode's interactive capabilities here really open up a lot of other use cases for deep competitive intelligence beyond just ads, and analyzing competitor website funnels, pricing pages, sign-up flows, etc. It raises an important question.
Yeah.
How can this incredibly detailed, data-backed, and visually rich understanding of exactly how your competitors are running their ad campaigns, their messaging, their offers, their targeting, directly inform and significantly improve the strategy and execution of your own ad campaigns? It gives you a blueprint to react to, learn from, and differentiate against.
Powerful stuff. Okay, use case number 3. Conducting an audit of your own homepage, or maybe key landing pages. This is something marketing teams do all the time, right? Trying to improve conversion rates.
Constantly. And the traditional process for seriously overhauling, say, a homepage can be quite involved.
Tell me about it.
You typically start by researching general conversion rate optimization, CRO, best practices. Then you'd spend time reviewing competitor homepages to see what they're doing well or poorly. Then comes the detailed self-audit of your own page against those best practices and competitor examples. Then you start drafting potential changes, writing new copy, maybe designing mock-ups. It involves multiple steps, lots of research, and significant time and effort.
Yeah, it can easily eat up days or even weeks, especially if you involve multiple people. How can deep research help here?
It can massively speed this up. Instead of you doing all that upfront research and analysis manually, you can ask deep research to perform an initial assessment of your page. It can analyze your current page, compare it against known best practices, and potentially look at competitor pages you specify, and provide a critique with suggestions that gets you, say, 80% there.
80%, that's a huge head start.
It is. It allows you to skip most of the grunt work of initial research and auditing and jump much faster to refining the AI suggestions and implementing changes. It's incredibly valuable for accelerating iterative design and optimization cycles.
Which tool is best for auditing a live web page like this?
Again, ChatGPT Agent Mode is probably the top choice because it can directly interact with and see the page structure and content most accurately. Gemini Deep Research might be a decent runner-up, as it also has strong capabilities for analyzing web content.
Okay, let's use an example. Say we want to audit the pricing page of the company, linear.uppricing.
Right.
How would that prompt look using Agent Mode?
All right, following our structure goal, provide an in-depth analysis and critique of Linear's current pricing page, located at http.linear.pricing. Evaluate its effectiveness in communicating value and driving conversions. Specifically highlight where 1, the page adheres well to current SaaS pricing page best practices, 2, where it potentially stands out via innovative or particularly effective ideas, and 3, where it falls short or could be significantly improved. Notice the balanced goal, good, innovative, and bad.
Comprehensive critique.
Then, structure and content get very specific about the desired output. After providing a general review of the page's structure and messaging, please provide detailed, actionable suggestions for improvements. For each suggestion, point out exactly what elements should be improved and how. Where possible, give examples of other SaaS companies that are doing this particular element better. Please try to rank the improvement ideas roughly by expected impact on conversion and estimated implementation effort. Easy from high impact, low effort. Furthermore, if you're suggesting entirely new elements to be added or existing ones to be significantly redesigned, please provide simple mock-ups or detailed copy examples that we could use as a starting point. Ensure the copy examples align with the existing minimalist and direct tone of the Linear homepage.
Wow, that's demanding a lot. Actionable suggestions, competitor examples, prioritization, impact effort, and even mock-ups and copy examples. That's asking for a real work product.
Exactly. You're pushing the AI to go beyond just critique and provide tangible starting points for improvement. And finally, instructions. Please combine insights derived directly from analyzing other relevant SaaS companies' pricing pages with established best practices discussed in leading CRO and SaaS industry blogs or resources. Aim for a comprehensive report of approximately 3,000 words. This guides the sources, competitors plus best practices, and sets the depth expectation.
Okay, a very demanding but well-structured prompt. What kind of output did the source material get for this Linear example?
The results were reportedly remarkable. In just about 10 minutes, it generated a 7,600-word analysis full of actionable suggestions, far exceeding the 3K word request.
7,600 words in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and packed with specifics. Examples of valid improvements it correctly identified included things like more prominently highlighting the cost savings offered by the annual plan versus monthly. Adding clear descriptions under each plan outlining who that specific plan is a good fit for, issue startups, enterprises. Clearly highlighting a recommended or most popular plan to guide user choice. And adding more detailed tooltips explaining specific features or perhaps a dedicated FAQ section to address common pricing questions.
Those all sound like very standard, solid CRO recommendations for a pricing page. Impressive that could generate them so quickly by analyzing the page.
It is impressive. However, this use case also perfectly highlights some current limitations of even advanced AI vision and interaction capabilities.
Oh, what did it miss or get wrong?
Two interesting things noted in the source. First, ChatGPT apparently couldn't interact with the little toggle switch on Linear's page that lets users switch between seeing annual pricing and monthly pricing. Because it couldn't flip the toggle, it wrongly assumed Linear only offered annual plans and didn't have a monthly option, which is incorrect.
Failure to interact with a dynamic JavaScript element.
Exactly. Second, the page had some rotating customer logos, and the AI didn't seem to see or acknowledge the logos that weren't visible on the initial page load. It missed the dynamic rotation. So even sophisticated models can still have blind spots with interactive or dynamically changing web elements.
That's really important context. It's not perfect vision, so what's the workaround?
Well, the practical workaround is simple acknowledgement and human oversight. You know, the AI might miss dynamic elements, so confirming specific claims like no monthly option just takes a few seconds of manual checking on your part. If a suggestion is based on a wrong assumption, like the missing monthly toggle, you simply ignore that specific suggestion.
So verify key claims, ignore inaccurate suggestion.
Exactly. Or, if seeing those dynamic elements is absolutely critical, you might rely more heavily on agent mode's screenshot capabilities, perhaps prompting it to take multiple screenshots after attempting interactions, though this might make the process slower and the report generation longer.
It really brings us back to that earlier point about hand-holding and critical verification, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. AI is an incredibly powerful assistant for audits like this, generating that 80% baseline incredibly fast. But your human oversight, domain knowledge, and critical judgment remain crucial for catching those last-mile inaccuracies and ensuring the final action plan is based on perfect information, especially when dealing with dynamic online environments. It's augmentation, not replacement.
Okay, great points. Let's move to use case number 4. Analyzing competitors' product features. This feels really core for product marketing and sales enablement.
Absolutely. Having strong customer-facing comparison pages, your product versus competitor product, is strategically vital. They target high-intent buyers who are actively evaluating options, and they're also increasingly important for answer engine optimization, or AEO, ensuring search engines can directly answer comparison questions.
But creating those pages accurately is hard, right?
It's incredibly challenging and time-consuming. To do it properly, you need to conduct extensive research, digging through competitor websites, scouring their official product documentation, maybe watching tutorial videos or reading user reviews, just understanding exactly what their product can and cannot do compared to yours. This research phase alone can easily take multiple days, if not longer, per competitor.
A huge time sink. How does deep research help here?
It's reported to be pretty good at this, significantly accelerating that painful research phase. It can digest those websites, docs, and other sources much faster than a human.
What's the recommended approach? Just point ChatGPT at the competitor site.
You could, but a more nuanced approach might yield better results. The recommendation from the source is often to start with a high-level prompt first, maybe to Claude, Perplexity, or Grok. Those tools known for good summaries. Ask them for a well-formatted summary of the most important comparison themes in maybe 1,000, 2,000 words.
Why start with them instead of ChatGPT?
Because they often excel at quickly identifying and summarizing the main points of differentiation or similarity without getting too bogged down in weeds initially. It gives you a quick, digestible overview of the key battlegrounds before you dive deeper. It's a good way to get the lay of the land.
Okay, so give the quick summary first. Then what?
Then, armed with that high-level understanding, you move to ChatGPT, likely standard mode, maybe agent mode if needed for specific site interactions, using a more refined prompt to get detailed information on specific capabilities and verify the initial findings.
What would that more detailed prompt look like?
Something like this. Goal. I work at your company name, and I need to understand precisely how our product compares to our key competitor competitor company name. Please compile a detailed report comparing the specific features and capabilities of both platforms, clearly highlighting any significant feature gaps on either side. Straightforward, competitive analysis objective.
Clear goal. What about sources? This seems critical for accuracy.
Absolutely critical. This is where you lean heavily on our source guidance principles. Sources. Please prioritize primary sources that contain factual information about product capabilities, i.e. do not rely on anyone's subjective interpretation or marketing fluff about what the products can do. Instead, focus on official product documentation, technical specifications, feature release notes, or official tutorials from both companies. Crucially, use in-text citations for any claims you make about a feature existing or being absent. Reiterate the need for authoritative sources and citations.
Okay, focus on facts, cite everything. What about the recency issue? Products change fast.
Excellent point. Address this directly in instructions. Product features change frequently. Make sure to check that any product gaps or missing features you're highlighting still exist today. For example, if you find a report or blog post from a year ago that claims competitor company name is missing a certain feature, conduct a quick follow-up search to see if that feature was potentially added or addressed in the meantime. Prioritize the most recent information available. This explicitly tells the AI to verify the timeliness of its findings.
That instruction seems absolutely essential for competitor analysis. Avoid basing claims on old info.
Essential. Then the process becomes iterative. You get this detailed report from ChatGPT, you review it, maybe you ask for additional clarifications, or you challenge specific claims if they seem off, prompting the AI to dig deeper or provide more evidence.
So the dialogue to refine the comparison. What are the main things to watch out for during that review?
Two big things based on the source material. First, that recency issue we just discussed. Products change so frequently. Even with the instruction, you must stress the need for the research agent to prioritize the most recent sources, maybe explicitly say, focus on information from the last 6 months. And critically, you should still perform your own quick Google search to confirm that the most important claims are still accurate before publishing anything.
Double-checking the key claims manually is non-negotiable.
Absolutely non-negotiable. Making outdated claims about a competitor's product is not only embarrassing, but can also damage your credibility severely. Verification is paramount.
Okay, recency. What's the second watch out?
The second is watch out for the AI citing vague marketing claims as if they are concrete features.
Like what?
An example given was the AI might initially report something like, competitor has superior AI capabilities. That sounds definitive, but it's actually quite vague. What does superior mean? What specific AI features are we talking about?
Right, it's marketing speak, not a feature list. How do you handle that?
This is where your active guidance comes in. You push back. You challenge the AI by demanding detailed examples. Ask, okay, you mentioned superior AI capabilities. Can you provide specific examples of 3 to 5 AI-powered features competitor X offers, link to where they are documented, and explain how they compare to our own AI features?
Force it to substantiate the vague claim with concrete evidence.
Exactly. What's fascinating here, according to the source, is how the user pushing back and demanding specifics can result in a much better, more detailed, and more accurate second version of the report. It connects back to guiding the AI away from regurgitating platitudes towards finding concrete evidence. Your critical questioning improves the output.
That's a great practical tip. Don't accept vague claims, demand specifics, and then once you have this, verify detailed comparison.
Then, as a final step, you can absolutely ask the AI. Okay, based on these findings, can you suggest key themes and specific points we should highlight on our use versus them comparison page for competitor? It can help you turn the research into marketing content.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, fifth and final practical use case. Market assessment for international expansion. This is a huge strategic decision for growing startups.
Huge. It's almost inevitable if a company is successful domestically. The question becomes, which countries should you expand into next, and in what order? It's a really complex decision.
Why so complex?
Because there are so many factors to consider for each potential market. Total addressable market, TAM size, existing competition, regulatory hurdles, cultural fit, language barriers, operational cost, talent availability. The list goes on. Doing this analysis properly requires synthesizing a vast amount of diverse data.
Sounds like a perfect job for deep research,
Yeah.
but maybe a daunting one to just throw at it cold.
Exactly. While deep research could potentially tackle this whole thing in one go, the recommended approach from the source material, especially for such a high-stakes decision, is a more structured two-step approach. It involves more human guidance up front.
Why is the two-step process considered superior here?
Because providing that initial strategic guidance and curated data focus tends to lead to way better results for highly complex, multifaceted strategic questions like this. It showcases a more sophisticated human-AI partnership where you define the framework and criteria first, and then let the AI execute the detailed analysis within that framework.
Okay, makes sense. What is step one?
Step one involves working with an advanced reasoning model, again, think GPT-5 or Claude Opus, to first collaboratively develop your company's specific international expansion framework, and second, to identify potentially high-quality data sources for the key criteria in that framework.
So you use the AI to help you decide how to decide and find the data before you ask for the ranking.
Precisely. Let's break down the prompts for step one. First, developing the framework goal. Please help me develop a comprehensive framework for stack ranking potential international markets for expansion for our company. Outline different potential angles or dimensions from which this decision can be framed. For example, market opportunity, competitive intensity, operational ease. And then propose a combined framework that incorporates the most important factors for a company like ours. Notice the collaborative, exploratory nature help me develop, outline different angles, propose a framework.
It's asking the AI to act like a strategy consultant here.
It is, and you provide context like, we're your company context, e.g. B2B SaaS selling project management software. After scaling successfully in the US, we're now seriously looking to expand internationally within the next 1-2 years. My current initial thoughts are focused on outline your current very rough thoughts on internationalization, maybe prioritize English-speaking markets first, but I'd really like your help to think through this much more holistically and rigorously.
Why share your initial thoughts if you want the AI's help?
Because providing your current thinking allows the AI to understand your starting point, potentially challenge your assumptions, and build upon or refine your reasoning rather than starting completely from scratch. It makes the collaboration more effective.
Okay, so that prompt helps build the framework. What about finding the data sources for step one?
Right. After you've iterated and landed on a framework you like, which might identify key criteria like TAM, competition intensity, regulatory ease, etc., you then prompt the same advanced model again. Okay, based on the expansion framework we just discussed, I'm now looking to gather the actual data needed to perform the stack ranking, likely using a deep research agent later. Please help me compile a list of potential high-quality data sources, specifically for 1, estimating total addressable market, TAM data, and 2, assessing the level of competition for various potential international markets.
So, asking it to find reliable data for key framework components.
Exactly, and you'd add specific instructions for how to evaluate those sources. For each potential data source you identify, please list it out and try to compare them across several criteria, such as 1, what exact data cuts or metrics they contain, e.g. country level versus regional, industry specific. 2, how credible they appear, and explain why AGI data directly from primary sources like national statistical bureaus or government organizations should probably be read higher than random blogs or unsourced websites. 3, how recent the data is, and 4, what the access requirements are. Example, free versus paid subscription versus requiring a free account login.
Wow, that's a meticulous pre-analysis of data sources, checking content, credibility, recency, access. Why go to this level of detail in step 1?
Because the quality of your final market assessment in step 2 is entirely dependent on the quality of the data you feed into it. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this meticulous pre-analysis of both the strategic framework and the underlying data sources is absolutely critical. It ensures that the subsequent market assessment generated by deep research is built on a solid foundation of well-defined criteria and credible, up-to-date data. This significantly mitigates the substantial risks associated with making poor international expansion decisions based on flawed analysis. Garbage in, garbage out applies doubly here.
Okay, so step 1 is all about human-AI collaboration to build a solid framework and curate a list of vetted data sources using a reasoning model. What's step 2?
Step 2 is where the deep research agent comes back in, likely ChatGPT deep research due to the complexity. You now feed all the output from step 1, your finalized expansion framework, the detailed criteria, and the curated list of recommended high-quality data sources into a new comprehensive prompt for the deep research agent.
And the goal for that prompt?
The goal is now much more direct. Using the provided expansion framework, evaluation criteria, and the prioritized list of data sources, please generate a detailed report that stack ranks the following potential countries. List the countries you're considering for international expansion. For each country, provide the relevant data points for each criterion based only on the recommended sources, calculate the score according to the framework, and provide a final ranking with supporting rationale.
So you give it the map, the compass, and the approved libraries, and tell it to execute the journey and bring back the results.
Precisely. You've done the strategic heavy lifting up front, defining the what and why and where to look. Now you leverage the deep research agent's power for the how, the efficient execution of gathering, synthesizing, and presenting the data according to your explicit instructions.
That really demonstrates the power of that guided multi-stage AI workflow you mentioned.
It really does. What's fascinating here is the synergy. You're using the strength of different AI models, reasoning versus research execution, combined with your own strategic guidance to tackle a highly complex, strategically critical task, achieving a robust, data-driven market assessment that would have been incredibly difficult and time-consuming otherwise.
Those 5 use cases are incredibly illuminating. Attribution guides, ad analysis, page audits, feature comparisons, market expansion. It really shows the breadth of what's possible. But I imagine this is just scratching the surface, right?
Oh, absolutely. The possibilities are, as the source says, literally endless. These examples are just intended to get your creative juices flowing. There are so many other ways GTM teams and really anyone could leverage these capabilities.
Can you throw out a few more quick ideas for inspiration?
Sure, drawing on the source again. How about using ChatGPT agent mode to meticulously document how leading companies in your space, or maybe your direct competitors, are handling key user flows? Think about analyzing their process for booking a product demo or their user onboarding sequence after sign-up. Understanding their UX in detail can reveal optimization opportunities for your own flows.
Ooh, UX and process analysis via agent mode. Clever. What else?
Maybe something quicker. Using Perplexity with its source focus to do a quick pulse check on social media sentiment regarding your recent product launch. Point it specifically at Twitter, Reddit, or relevant forums to get a snapshot of real-time market reaction and feedback.
Good for rapid response and understanding immediate impact. One more.
Here's a creative one. Asking ChatGPT Deep Research to compile an exhaustive report on successful, maybe unconventional marketing stunts or growth hacks that companies similar to yours in industry-sized target audience have used effectively in the past. Then, taking that list of ideas and working with a reasoning model, GPT-5 or Claude Opus, to brainstorm which of these might actually make sense for us given our brand and constraints, and how would we need to adapt them to fit our specific situation?
So using deep research for inspiration and broad discovery, and then a reasoning model for tailored adaptation and strategic filtering. Love that combo.
Exactly. It combines creative strategy development with competitive innovation analysis and practical tailored adaptation.
This has been incredibly insightful. It really brings us full circle from my initial skepticism about AI hype to being genuinely mind-blown by the potential of deep research when used correctly. We've explored how this capability can, quite literally, transform tasks that took hours, even days, into minutes.
The speed is definitely impressive.
But the huge takeaway for me, and hopefully for everyone listening, is that achieving that speed and quality hinges entirely on your strategic hand-holding. It's not magic. It requires deliberate effort.
That's the key message.
Through careful source selection and guidance, providing detailed context about your situation and goals, proactively reviewing and refining the AI's research plan, and insisting on clear, digestible formatting. That's how you unlock the real power. It's not just about getting information faster, it's about getting better, more relevant, and truly actionable insights tailored to you.
What a journey indeed. And I think this whole discussion really reinforces a core philosophy. Knowledge isn't just about accessing information. It's most valuable when it's deeply understood and effectively applied. Deep research and AI in general are becoming incredibly powerful tools for distilling vast amounts of information. But paradoxically, this makes your human skills even more important, not less. Your critical thinking, your ability to frame the right questions precisely, your willingness to provide comprehensive context, and maybe most importantly, your courage to challenge the AI's assumptions or outputs. These are the skills that truly differentiate in the age of AI.
So it's not about being replaced by AI.
Not at all. It's about being augmented. It's about using these tools to elevate your own strategic thinking and execution, becoming a more discerning, more efficient, and ultimately more impactful professional.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? The clear message is, embrace this new capability. Don't be intimidated by it. Start experimenting.
Absolutely. Dip your toes in.
You don't have to tackle international expansion analysis on day one. Start small. Maybe pick one of the practical GTM use cases we discussed. Audit a landing page, research a competitor's ads. Try out the problem structures we outlined, experiment with the different tool selections, see what works for you, empower yourself to become a deep research power user. The time you save, and more importantly, the quality of insights you gain. It could truly be transformative for your work, your projects, and maybe even your career trajectory.
It really could. And perhaps it leaves us with a final provocative thought to ponder. This raises an important question.
Go on.
In an era where AI can synthesize vast amounts of information almost instantaneously, does the future of expertise itself shift? Does it lie less in the traditional skill of simply finding or even knowing information, and more in the nuanced critical art of guiding AI effectively, critically interpreting its complex output, and skillfully applying those synthesized insights to unique, real-world business challenges?
A shift from information retrieval to intelligent orchestration and application.
Perhaps. It's something worth thinking about as these tools continue to evolve.
A profound thought indeed to leave you with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into deep research. We genuinely hope you found it valuable and actionable. We really can't wait to hear about your own discoveries, your successes, maybe even your challenges as you start experimenting with these tools and techniques. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and keep thriving in this exciting new landscape.